Hey y'all, what's up? You know the vibes. It's another episode. Notable prisons and the inmates that occupy them. I'm gonna need y'all to do something. Get them lighters ready, cause little buddy got cooked in this episode. So, this episode is about none other than Wade Wilson. If y'all are unfamiliar with Wayne Wilson, let me catch you up to speed. In October 2019, two women, Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz, were found dead, according to reports from a WFLA and Fox 4. Melton was found in her home, while Ruiz, a mother of two, was found in an empty lot. Wade Wilson was arrested in connection to the murders that month. According to the outlets, his conviction, which was reported by both outlets along with the WBBH, marked as the end of a nearly 5-year legal saga. This afternoon, in Lee County Courthouse, I sat with the families of Diane Ruiz and Kristen Melton as the verdict was read. Wade Wilson was found guilty on all counts. Cape Coral Police Chief Anthony Sizemore said in a statement on June 12th, the families exposed to me their gratitude for the hard work of our team. During the trial, a prosecutor said Wilson killed the two women for the sake of killing. This case was about killing for the sake of killing, Assistant State Attorney Andreas Gardner said during closing arguments. According to the outlet, strangulation is the epitome of life slipping through someone's hands. That's literally exactly what it is. Fox 4 also reported that prosecutors referenced a jailhouse interview during which Wilson allegedly told detectives, "I would do it again." The outlet reported that Wilson met Melton at a bar and went home with her before authorities said he strangled her the next day. Hours later, Wilson saw Ruiz walking home from work and asked her for directions. When she got into his car, he strangled her before running her over. Wilson's attorney did not dispute that her client was guilty, instead arguing that he was under the influence of drugs and that the murders were not premeditated. "I'm not arguing insanity," she said. "I'm arguing that the state is claiming premeditation. I'm arguing he's whacked out of his mind for any of this," Attorney Lee Hollander reportedly told the court. Because of his conviction of first-degree murder charges, Wilson potentially faces the death penalty. But get this, though. He gets arrested. He's in jail, going through the motions and whatnot. Now, I've never been in that position, but I would imagine if you know you're looking at some serious time and you know you did it, I'm sure everyone has had the thought of trying to break out. And so that's essentially what he did. Him and another inmate who I'm not going to name because I just don't need to name him. But anyways, they tried to break out of their cell. They removed screws. They removed the sealant around the window. They started cracking at the window, but unbeknownst to them, these jail windows, there's so many layers to them. And he don't exactly have no power tools with him to just get through it. And then on top of that, the window itself is not all that big. So, man, I would have loved to see how he would have figured that out, because there's a damn good chance he would have got out there and broke his damn neck, then just been laying on the ground looking crazy. You know what I'm saying? But also something that happened in the case, his dad had confessed on the stand that he essentially told him what happened, saying that he had came home one day and he said that I choked her, this, that, and the third. Another thing that that you might say could play a role in it, I don't really think so, because I know tons of people who went up for adoption or were adopted that are just fine, great people, right? But the dad had stated that him and the mom were teenagers when they had him, and they put him up for adoption. So I don't know if that was him trying to win over the juror or something, to try to feel some pity for him. But at the end of the day, two women's lives were taken and cut short. On top of that, there was a third girl that came out. that said apparently that he had choked her and tied her up and put her in the back of the car. You know, it's like, man, it's crazy because the dating world is tricky, right? Because you got guys like this dude who does crazy stuff. So it's like women are very untrustworthy of dudes, and it's like you got to go through a lot of the times. You got to go through a lot of the times to try to make, just to like get close with them. But at the end of the day, all women should definitely keep their guard up. You know what I mean? Never get too comfortable with no guy unless you see signs of him being normal and respectful and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying judge the guy because he got out of prison or he has tattoos or nothing, because that doesn't necessarily mean nothing, but just off his character. It's like you got to kind of like, I would guess, if you were to try to like judge him, maybe like throw some tests at him, like test him to see like how he responds to certain things, But it's definitely very unfortunate that had to happen to those women. So interesting enough, being that he's a Florida man and he's in Florida. And Florida does a lot of things different than California. Currently in California, they're trying to get rid of the death penalty, and Florida has no desire to do so. So, after 5 years of him at the Lee County Jail, the convicted killer, Wade Wilson, his new address is going to be death row. This coming week, the jury will determine his fate, like the penalty phase and all that stuff, which more than likely, if they have the death penalty option, they're going to give him the death penalty. Or he's going to get life. One or the other. That's it. Or he's going to get like 763 years. But he's been in custody at the Lee County Jail in Fort Myers since October 8th, 2019. And now he faces the penalty phase and all that. It's expected to last up to 2 days. The jury will determine beginning Monday whether it recommends death or not. So, Wade Wilson is kind of like a shit creek, you know what I'm saying? He should have thought about his actions. He probably wouldn't be in that situation. But if he is sentenced to death, he will join 8 other men from Lee and Collier counties. Although Wilson technically has 2 first-degree murder convictions, he would automatically be eligible for death row because of his first murder charge. Men on death row are housed at Union Correctional Institution in Rayford. According to the Florida Department of Corrections, there are 276 people on death row in the state, with 274 of them being male. Specifically, in Lee County, inmates go through central intake at the Lee County Jail upon arrest. From the downtown jail at the courthouse, inmates can be transferred to the core facility on any day depending on their level of sentencing. The core facility is where main operating services are provided. If a prosecutor intends for the death penalty sentence, the prosecutor must give notice and file the notice within 45 days after the arraignment. The death penalty laws vary from state to state. However, Florida's death row provides 2 means of execution: lethal injection and electrocution. That means they're going to use old Sparky. And being that it's in today's times, the whole system is powered by a battery. You ain't got to plug it into the wall. So he's going to get zapped if that's his way. Otherwise, they're just going to, give an injection, maybe put whatever they put in there and put him to sleep. Either will be administered at the execution chamber at the Florida State Prison. Previously, executions were completed by counties instead of the state as a whole. Inmates on death row are placed in death watch cells prior to execution as they wait for the governor to sign their death warrant. Inmates are served meals 3 times a day with option to request a last meal. Showers are allowed every other day, and all inmates remain in handcuffs unless It's in the exercise yard, shower, or individual cell. Visitors must be pre-approved and can only visit during set hours. If a jury doesn't recommend death for him, he faces an automatic life sentence, which is stated by Florida Statute Section 782.04. For an inmate to be sentenced to life in prison, their crime must consist of the unlawful killing of a human. Pretty straightforward, cut and dry. It doesn't take rocket science to understand that. If this is Wilson's sentence, he would spend the rest of his natural life in prison without the possibility of parole because of the severity of his crime. In Florida, a judge may impose a death sentence if 8 of the 12 jurors agree. Most states require the jury to give unanimous jury verdict for the death penalty. If eligible, and the jury has least 8 votes for a death sentence, the recommendation must be death. If there are less than 8 votes for death, the recommendation must be for life without parole, according to the Death Penalty Information Center. So, I just want to say, first and foremost, RIP to those women, right? They didn't need to go through that. But I want to know, what do you guys think about all of this? Give me some feedback down in the comments, Also, another news in Florida, a local Florida rapper, well, not local, but a rapper in Florida had passed away. R.I.P. Julio Fulio. May he rest in peace as well. But back to Wade Wilson. Get your lighters ready, because they really about to cook him, They are about to torch that guy. But something that I wanted to ask, if you made it to this far, I'm positive in California prisons, judging his ethnic background and the tattoos and stuff he got, the group that he would run with would be, the Woods, the Aryan Brotherhood, whatever. In California, because of his crimes, there's a good chance that he would have to roll it up and go to PC. Correct me if I'm wrong. Are the politics still the same in Florida? Will he just be on the yard just chilling with everyone? Or will the people on the yard look at that like it's not a justifiable crime, so he's not going to do justifiable time? But if he's on death row, then that won't even matter. Because according to the laws out there, he'll be by himself. Sitting in that damn cell looking crazy. Looking at the walls. Dreaming. Mad dreaming. Probably having vivid dreams, because if he did any drugs or anything, he probably won't get any in there. And if he does, it's not going to be a crazy amount. But I couldn't imagine, getting, drugs and stuff on death row. That seems like it'd be, next to impossible. Now I know how they do it, in normal prisons, how they bring stuff in, how they bring cell phones in. I'm well aware of the methods of how they do that, right? I'm not going to tell you. It's not my place to tell you. But, I always figured death row would be a little tricky. But nonetheless, I'm going to get back to, chiefing over here. And I hope y'all enjoy y'all's. I hope y'all had a good weekend. Let me know something in the comments. Thanks for watching. Late.